Hey everybody, I'm Philip.
And I'm Justin.
And together we are Pajamas. And we are finally here. We are finally getting ready to do Medal Ceremony for Season 3.
It was very difficult because this was an exceptionally wonderful season.
Yeah, we binged like the last third of Season 3 over 2 nights, several weeks back, which has put us ahead of the curve. And we used that time to work on Medal Ceremony, no lie. We are just now both finally ready. I was ready last weekend, but you needed another week. So we decided to postpone it to this weekend. Because while we don't regret our Season 2 choices, I think we both felt kind of rushed into Medal Ceremony after Season 2. So from now on, seasons going forward, we're going to take as much time as we need for Medal Ceremony. So it's not rushed, so we're confident. Another reason, as he said, this was a really tough season. Usually we have our, these are the good ones, these are the ones, let's try and see which ones, There wasn't really any horrible episodes this season. And I guess we'll go over that when we get to the favorites and least favorites. But yeah, this was not an easy season in the best way possible. As always, we do not know each other's choices. You have yours on your phone. I have mine on my notebook. We are the inverse of technology and old school.
Yes, usually it's the other way around.
Exactly. So we're keeping that alive. So yeah, we don't know what the other one chose, so that makes it more exciting. And so what we have to choose from this episode for Season 3 is Episode 1, Smith & Jones, 2, The Shakespeare Code, 3, Gridlock, 4, Daleks in Manhattan, 5, Evolution of the Daleks, 6, The Lazarus Experiment, 7, 42, 8, Human Nature, 9, The Family of Blood, 10, Blink, 11, Utopia, 12, The Sound of Drums, 13, Last of the Time Lords, and of course we do not count the Christmas one because it is the bridge episode for us from 3 to 4.
Even though that would very likely have been somewhere in the tier if we did include it. Possibly.
Oh, I don't want to. Oh yeah, Christmas Voyage is already out, or the Voyage of the Damned is already out by the time this is released. It's not. We just recorded it last weekend. Also, count the number of times I hit my beard on the microphone because I'm not used to it. You know what I'm saying?
Usually the specials are simply transition episodes, but this one actually was very thought-provoking.
Oh yeah, in many ways, in more ways than one. Yeah. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it. And we're going to start with our least favorites. Disclaimer. Least favorites on these do not mean we hated these. You put it very well the other day.
Yes, that considering how exceptionally amazing this season was, we're probably going to have to be extremely nitpicky. So if the reasons for why some episodes are in the bottom 3, if it seems like the reasons are trivial, that's why.
Yeah, they have to be. Even the 3 I picked, I didn't really dislike them. I was just like, well, my thing was, okay, if I had to list them from 1 to 13, 1 being the best one, 13 being like my least fave. Obviously how you would do it normally. But normally these are our favorite. Like as I said earlier, this is our bulk of each side. We didn't have that this time. So I thought in my head, if I had to list them from 1 to 13, this would be the list. And 11, 12, 13 are the bottom ones. So just didn't like as much, or maybe there's something about them that wasn't as, appealing. Just, like he said, nitpicking. So let's get started with least favorites in Medal Ceremony. What was your bronze for least favorite?
Well, that would be the first one, the Jones episode.
Oh, Smith & Jones, okay.
Yes. And it's mainly how the people reacted when an army was walking towards them, despite that they were hysterical when they saw that they were on the moon. It seemed as if somebody in the editing accidentally switched.
Right.
Or in the script switched them around, that it should have been the other way around. It would seem as if they would be awestruck that they see planet Earth, and that there's a moonscape.
Yeah.
But if an army is marching towards you, one would think that they would scream, panic.
Yeah. An alien army at that.
Yes. Especially ones that don't really look like people that one would recognize as people.
Yeah.
Very nitpicky, but it's one thing about that episode that stuck out to me. And what about you?
My bronze is the Lazarus experiment. I like the idea. I think his name is Mark Gatiss. I think that's what his name is. If I got it wrong, I apologize. I like him as an actor. I liked him as Sherlock. But the CGI was really rough.
Even at that time?
Yeah. It's a lot of people's, like, I remember reading the comments and people were talking about how just crappy the CGI was, and it wasn't very good. Now, I said way back in episode 1 of season 1 that I was not going to let CGI dictate if I liked an episode or not. But this is Medal Ceremony. CGI was bad, and it was really bad. So, again, we're being nitpicky. While I did like the story and I thought it was a cool concept, and the sound balancing in this episode especially was awful, which is one of the reasons we actually watch stuff with each of our own headphones now, and so we have our own sound. Yeah, that's just I thought the CGI was bad. And yeah,
that's a legitimate complaint.
On to silver. In the least favorites, what was your silver?
The next one, I would say, was human nature.
Okay.
Because of a very serious... Well, I do know that the reason why the plot hole is there is so that the story can continue.
Mm-hmm.
Why not simply give Martha the watch to simply carry with her,
right,
maybe in her pocket?
Right. Yeah. Okay.
It seems like that's too much of a valuable thing that anybody could have stolen it. Potentially. It seems like a very important variable when considering going through this whole situation.
Yeah.
About how is this watch to be protected, because it's a thing that's going to have him remember everything.
Yeah, it's very important.
And yet,
yeah,
simply let it lie there by the fireplace for anyone to take it.
Very true, yeah.
And yes, if it weren't there, then the episode wouldn't have happened the way that it did.
Yeah.
But imagine if this weren't in a fictional world, but were actually happening. It would be more of a serious danger. It would be too unpredictable.
Yeah,
I would be much more insistent that someone that he would trust, which would be Martha,
right,
to hold on to this watch, and if ever he needs it, to give it to him to open.
Right. Yeah. That's a cool thing about this medal ceremony is, like, if I had to look on this list and pick your 3, I don't think I could have. For either side, really, because it's just so, yeah, like, I don't know if I would put human nature on your bottom 3 at all, but it makes sense as to why, yeah.
And, well, it's because of that nagging plot hole.
Okay.
Or maybe not so much of a plot hole, more like...
plot device?
Yes.
Yeah.
And what is yours?
My silver is 42. Simply because, in my opinion, this was a Satan Pit retread. Obviously, it wasn't the exact same plot. We didn't have Marker Face, thank God. But it hit too many of the same beats. I didn't dislike it. Again, I feel like I need to keep saying this. I didn't dislike it. It was a fine episode. But if I was going to list them from 1 to 13, this would have been in the bottom. Like, Doctor Who just gets to a point where, like, the tension really doesn't mean as much anymore because you know the Doctor's going to win.
Yes.
So, and again, it's supposed to be like a cartoon. Like the cartoon, we watch, I grew up on He-Man.
Mm-hmm.
You knew that He-Man was always going to beat Skeletor.
Yes, but how is it going to?
Exactly.
That's where the
exactly.
That's where the excitement is.
And that's why we keep watching. How is the Doctor going to win? So you knew he's going to rescue Martha, and you knew he's going to figure the thing out, and you knew, like, but I liked him being, overtaken by the heat monster, burn with me and all that. But it just hit too many of the same beats for me. And I think since I didn't like Satan Pit so much, that it was just kind of like, you're too much like a thing that I really didn't like. Which I know isn't fair, but again, season 3. So yeah, that's mine. All right, we're going to go to gold. This should be interesting. Gold. What was your, quote unquote, least favorite episode from season 3?
Now realize about me saying about something being trivial.
Mm-hmm.
And you probably would think that, how in the world could I have this as a gold? But I had to. Gridlock.
Oh, I thought you picked Shakespeare Code at first. Because okay.
Well, that would be a what?
Yeah,
I
thought you were like, you was shocked that I would pick this. I'm like, don't want to be shocked by a Shakespeare Code. Okay, so why Gridlock?
Well, instead of one reason like the previous two, it's for two reasons.
Double the reasons.
One, at the beginning, the Doctor talked about closing the street, ending their businesses, despite that they didn't really do anything wrong per se.
Yeah.
It's very unlike the Doctor for him to lash out at people that didn't even do anything. It would be like him shouting at random people for complaining about what color of coat they were wearing. Or
yeah. Like he does yell at people. He's very bossy. But yeah, you're right. This is like an instance of him just being kind of uncalled for.
Yes, they don't make the product.
Yeah,
and furthermore, yes, and they're selling it. These people, if they didn't buy it from them, they're going to buy it from somewhere else. And furthermore, do you really know what this or that person is going through? Maybe they need this patch for some sort of traumatic reason.
Yeah, like that one woman whose parents went to the expressway and she knew that they were doomed. Yeah.
It could, for all that we know, it could have been the one thing that kept her from committing suicide.
Possible, yeah. What was the second thing?
The second thing, he had the gall to say that purple is not his color.
Oh, my Lord.
I don't care what the Doctor says. Everybody looks good in purple, in my opinion.
Okay.
How dare he say that purple is not his color? It's everybody's color. Everybody's beautiful in purple.
Okay.
All right. And what is your gold?
This might be a shock to some people because of some stuff that occurred. My gold is Smith and Jones. Only because of everything that happened in the season, this episode seemed the most tame. Like, yes, they got zapped to the moon, and yes, there was an army, but like, when I look back on it, this episode to me was like the least powerful, least meaningful. Even like 42 had some stuff going on.
Would you say that it was the most lackluster of the episode?
Kinda, but it wasn't bad. It's just out of like, if I had to listen from like 1 to 13, this would have been 13 for me. Yes, we get Martha. Yay, Martha. I miss you. Yeah, that silliness of the Doctor being, I'm barefoot on the moon. You know, like, I know, it just was like, I don't know. It's just kind of like, it was just there for me, I guess. You know, it wasn't bad, wasn't great, but it was just there, which to me, if I don't care about you as like a plot, because yeah, we met Martha, but this was like just meeting Martha. We hadn't really got to know Martha, you know, that kind of, we were getting to know her, but if that makes sense, it just seemed the most, whereas with like 42, I could find stuff that was like, okay, I'm engaged.
Would you say that if this were a different show and you were channel surfing, you would probably simply change the channel?
Well, no, because I would if I saw a scene with David Tennant in it, I think, who's this cute guy? Let me check this out. I would check it out. No, it's not nothing like that. I mean, so 42, that's stuff that I was interested in. And Lazarus Experiment, I was into the plot. How that was a really cool plot. They get zapped to the moon, and the Hog police come, and then the evil lady is like, I liked her too. Like I said, it doesn't mean I didn't like it. It's just out of all the episodes, this one did it for me the least. You know, we had some banging sex episodes this season. This was the most boring. This was just like, you know, you're on your phone while doing missionary. It's just, you know, are we done yet? Okay. Are we still on the moon? Okay. I don't know. It just didn't do it for me. All right, now let's go to the favorites. Our favorites from season 3. This should be good. Well, it's going to be good because these are our favorites, but all right. I'm very, very interested to see what you have chosen. What is your bronze for favorites from season 3?
Bronze, you probably expected this to be in at least one of the medals. Evolution of the Daleks.
Yeah, I knew
it had to be at least one Dalek episode needs to be given a medal.
It doesn't even matter if it's good. It's just as long as there's a Dalek in it.
But note that I chose that one instead of the Manhattan one.
Okay. Why'd you
So
choose
it
what?
isn't simply for the sake, oh, there's a Dalek. Whee! There's actually much more to it than that. It's because in this episode,
Mm-hmm.
it shows the Daleks committing mutiny.
Oh, yeah.
It shows that it is very tempting to look at them and think that they're robot-like,
Mm-hmm.
and to forget that actually, when you look inside, they're actually flesh and blood at the controls.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not only physically, this also shows them that they are mentally. Even without emotions, they still have thought processes. They have different opinions. They can think on their own.
Mm-hmm.
And even with their own culture. Such as, well, for example, the traitor Dalek, he went so far as to say that Davros was wrong,
Mm.
or that Daleks are not the supreme beings.
Yeah.
Well, that's to the others, and rightfully so, that was going against something that was a core principle of Dalek culture.
Mm-hmm.
And indeed, by evolving, he showed, including in some places, maybe considered misplaced mercy, he showed himself to not really be a true Dalek.
Yeah, when you let the Doctor survive. Yeah, yeah.
I really liked it that it went much more internal into the Daleks, that it showed them socially interact with each other instead of simply being antagonists that attack.
Yeah, yeah.
To actually get into their minds.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I really liked about this episode.
Okay, cool. We also had an added bonus. We had Andrew Garfield for 2 episodes, and that's never a bad thing.
And what is yours?
My bronze for favorites is number 10, Blink. We got Doctor Who. We got horror. Boom. Of course, this is going to be on the list.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite genre.
I thought that it was going to be somewhere on the list.
Yeah, it has to be. It was a cool idea to know that it was an original idea. This didn't come from like old Doctor Who. This was a new invention for New Who. It's such a neat concept. And I think people are like, oh, it ripped off this. It doesn't matter to me because they did it so well. And some more trivia I found out. The statues were actually people in costume.
They were able to stay that still for an extended period of time?
Yeah, it just made it even cooler to me. But yeah, it was well told, well paced. The antagonists were awesome. I didn't think I'd get to see Doctor Who horror episode, and I did. And remember when it started, I was like, oh, yay. And still, yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's a simple thing, but sometimes I'm an easy man to please. This wasn't Doctor-centric, which was also nice. I'm a fan of the ones that aren't revolving around the Doctor, usually, for obvious reasons, that I've ranted about many times, much to everyone's delight. Yes, mine is Blink, number 10. All right, let's go to Silver. What is your second place Silver favorite of this season?
That one would be The Family of Blood.
Why is that?
I really liked the villains.
The family.
Yes, I especially liked the dynamic, how they worked together. And, of course, especially the ironic ending that, unlike most villains, they actually did get exactly what they wanted, but it turned out that it wasn't exactly how they perceived it, but they still nevertheless did get what they wanted.
Yeah, it was a corrupt wish.
And I really do like that sort of plot device. It's one thing that I really liked about it. The villains, how they worked together, their interaction as a family unit, even referring to each other by their titles, all striving for the same thing and achieving it only to realize that they didn't really want it after all.
Well, not like that, yeah.
Well, yes, not like that, but well, think about it. They didn't specify exactly precisely what they wanted. Think of it as, for example, getting a wish from a genie. And then you get that. And the genie then says, you didn't specify exactly what you meant by these words, so that's one wish down.
I said during the review of the episode that it's very much like the djinn in Wishmaster, where you make a wish, but he twists it on you. Like if you say you want to live forever, he'll turn you into like a mannequin. You'll be alive, but you'll be a mannequin. You just can't move. So yeah, that's what it reminded me of.
And what is yours?
My silver for favorites is number 9, The Family of Blood.
Oh.
Yeah.
We picked the same one.
Yes. How romantic. How romantic that we pick the same one, something called The Family of Blood.
And it's given the pretty silver medal.
Yes, it's also given that. I love the main villain, who I didn't realize at the time that we knew from Game of Thrones as Daenerys' brother, who got the gold poured on his head.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler for Game of Thrones, it's been out.
Oh, once again, similarly, he did get what he wanted, gold on his head.
Yeah, he has a history of playing characters where they get what they want, just not quite how they wanted it. My favorite thing about this episode was the dynamic between John Smith and the Doctor. And this was David Tennant's crowning performance of this season. Sitting there and all the awesome one-liners that he said about, you want to kill me, you want to take away my future, and he saw the future with the matron and the children and the normal life you would have if you stayed John Smith. And that clash between, like that we talked about in the episode, between humanity and Time Lordian wants and desires. Like, yes, the last 5 minutes I went into it in depth during that episode. But the whole sequence of the John Smith versus the Doctor clash inside David Tennant was just like peak acting. Well, one of 2 peak acting moments for him. But this was extended. This was like he was anguished and he was torn and he was just heartbroken because he saw what he was going to give up. And then when he became the Doctor became went back to being cold and calculated and methodical. And people have debated me on that he still had feelings and he still cared for her, and that's why he wanted her to go with him. And I disagree with that. But there was a commenter on that video. I'm going to do your comment injustice. I'm sorry, but it was something to the extent of, in that moment, the Doctor wanted to do the right thing, but he didn't know how. And that's perfect. Because as I said in that episode, he thought he was doing the right. He thought bringing her along was the right choice. It wasn't, and it was not done out of emotion. It was not done out of like love and caring. It was done out of because he thought he was catering to her grief and sadness by bringing her along, and not realizing it was going to make it worse for her.
Yes.
So
he was thinking about her overall well-being.
Exactly, and not about the emotional well-being. And just all of that is why this is such a good episode. Just both of them were good, but Family of Blood, just the snarky sneeriness of the bad guy, loved him. Mm-hmm. It was awesome, and then just that dynamic between John Smith and the Doctor was just top notch. All right, let's go to gold, the creme de la creme of season 3. All right, what is your gold medal?
Which is, of course, the Shakespeare Code.
Oh, okay.
Mainly because I like how they are able to involve magic in the world, but also have it in a way that's able to be explained in scientific terms so that it still works within a sci-fi genre.
Yeah. You also brought that up in the Voyage one as well, yeah.
Yes. In how there can be such a thing as ghosts, but yet having it still be sci-fi. It's explained in scientific terms.
Exactly, yeah.
And, well, yes, if one were to explain basically how magic works, the way that it was explained, that actually is a very scientific way of explaining it, in a way that it makes sense and doesn't sound corny or something quickly made up at the last minute simply to keep the story going.
Right, yeah.
And I also did like it because it's a history episode. I definitely liked Shakespeare's portrayal.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And throughout the episode, even quoting some of his most famous lines.
Or trying to steal other people's lines. I'm going to use that.
Yes. And well, who is going to know? All that's going to be left is this document that simply has William Shakespeare's name on it. So
that is true.
It will be assumed, Shakespeare is the one who invented it.
Mm-hmm.
I really loved this episode.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know if I would have picked that one for your gold. I thought it was going to be on the top 3 somewhere, like how you thought Blink was going to be on mine.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't sure where. That's very cool.
And what is your gold?
My gold for season 3 is...
Is it one of my bottom 3?
No. That's being dramatic for just the sake of being dramatic. It's not that dramatic. My gold is Last of the Time Lords, episode 13, the final one. This was the culmination of Saxon, who became the Master. There were so many like reveals. Saxon being the Master in the two-parter. And then we had the reveal at the end of this one where Captain Jack is the face of Bo. Holy shit. And it makes sense why, because of what Super Saiyan Rose did to him. But just the Master, you know I love me a good villain. I say it a lot in various things I react to. I love a good villain. The Master is a good villain. Like, he turned the Doctor basically into Dobby from Harry Potter. He had made everyone else subservient. He made Captain Jack into like sexy torture area because, of course.
Why not?
Exactly. I like the entire story. I like we just spent all this time building to this. And it wasn't like Bad Wolf for me, where we spent an entire season building towards Bad Wolf, and I got so excited that I was like, and then I was kind of let down, which was my fault, as I said. 2 times. As I said in that medal ceremony. Spoiler if I haven't seen that one. But this one was a good build, subtle, with the Vote Saxon posters, and the misdirection. And then, they go to Utopia, which was like a snooze fest for the first half, and then just like bolt towards the finish line, introduce the Master, turn into that guy. I forget his name, I'm sorry. Even though the older guy playing the Master, for the little time he had, did a stellar job. I don't think he gets enough credit. When he turned from like quirky old like scientist inventor guy into the Master before he regenerated into the younger guy.
Yana.
Yeah. Did such a good job of going from like unassuming to sinister. Really good. So I want to give him a shout out. We also said, obviously, we don't do 2-parters because then we're choosing from like 8 episodes instead of 8 or 9 episodes instead of 13. But the 2-parter overall was so solid. But the payoff in 13 is why I chose it. It was a Master in full swing as the villain. Everyone was like subservient to him. Martha was on her crusade, using the thing that she had to make her invisible-esque to all of his machines. I thought it was a good payoff. The villain was awesome. And I'm kind of sad to see the Master go. This was a very sad episode in a lot of ways because we saw the Master go. We saw Martha go. There's a lot of important stuff happened in this one.
It would have been interesting if he were to have somehow escaped and he'd reappear in a future episode back with a vengeance.
If in any way that happens, don't tell us, please.
At the end of the episode, though, there was that mysterious hand that took that ring.
Yeah.
So there's some foreshadow that something's going to come of it.
Yeah. For me, overall, it was the build throughout the entire season, and it was paid off. The payoff was good, really good. And just the chemistry that the Master and the Doctor had. And then David Tennant's second acting prowess, trying to get the Master to regenerate, and he won't do it. And then he dies in his arms. The last Time Lord, the last of his kind, like a childhood friend, if I'm understanding correctly, dies in his arms. And just the anguish as he's crying and just squeezing it is so powerful. This was just a great way to cap off the season, a great way to build the season, and just so happy that, as I said, the payoff was good. It was worth it. I didn't feel cheated. I didn't feel like I built it up too much in my head. It exceeded my expectations. For all those reasons, it is my gold.
An excellent set of reasons for that.
Thank you. Well, that's going to wrap this up. This is a medal ceremony. This was fun. I'm glad we waited. Our choices felt and more organic. You were able to, because it takes you a little more longer to compose your thoughts.
Yes.
His video series is coming soon. I know we promised it like 6 months ago, but I've been giving him time to work on it, which isn't a knock. Like, when he does it, it's going to be awesome. I wanted to give us both proper time to pick our choices and put together our thoughts as to why. Stay tuned for season 4 coming up next. This season coming up got a lot of hype behind it.
I'm very excited for it.
So am I. If people stop spoiling stuff, I'll be even more excited. So hopefully that'll be dropping in the near future. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No.
Alrighty. Well, it's going to wrap this one up. As always, I don't have a fancy outro, so I'll simply say thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.
Goodbye.